Hi, it's Robert Mitchell, and I'm here at the Toronto International Film Festival. Hi. Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Welcome to Midnight Madness.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Good evening and welcome to Midnight Madness! Oh my gosh, we're on time. And smile for the TIFF Facebook page. We're doing that crazy live streaming thing, okay? So, people from around the world are tuning in to see what Midnight Madness is all about. And this is a different kind of Midnight Madness because we're shifting gears. Everyone has their notes, right? Everyone has notes. Okay, there we go. Got the noses. Put your noses, just pull them out there. Just get them ready because we want to get a really good photo. I have to take this up for a minute. The glass, they're steaming up. There we go. Okay. I mean, if you had said to me, Colin, this would be a couple of years ago, Colin, in 2016 you will have a Morgan Spurlock film in Midnight Madness. What? But my history with this filmmaker goes back, although he doesn't know it. I did tell him the story, but he wasn't really aware of it. Back when Super Size Me came out, yes, I didn't have my glasses, but at the time I was rocking a pretty good handlebar mustache.
I remember that.
And I got mistaken several times for Morgan Spurlock. Including so much as being at a staff meeting at TIFF, and afterwards staff members like, who invited the director from Super Size Me? Because it was just coming out that week. Then a couple of years ago, we had his documentary on Comic-Con, and how many people saw that here? And I was sitting outside. It was at we were at, remember that place called the AMC? It's now Cineplex, our sponsor. I was sitting outside of the cinema because I'd just done an introduction and I was collecting my notes and everything. And these people walked out of the cinema and then they stopped until they looked at me and they stared at me. They looked at the door of the cinema and they stared at me. And they walked away. I'm like, what was that about? And then I'm like, oh, Morgan Spurlock's in there doing an introduction. They want to know how he got from there to here so fast. But anyways, this was pitched to me like, okay, you came from Tom Powers, our documentary programmer, and it's like, Morgan's got a documentary that he thinks works more as a horror film, and would probably not be best placed in the documentary section. Like, well, I'll be the judge of that. Yeah. This is the one film which is guaranteed to make you check under your bed tonight before you go to sleep. And also, I do warn you, this goes into disgusting, gory, grisly Mondo movie territory. All right, put your hands together for the director of Rats, Morgan Spurlock.
Thank you. First things first. We're gonna get a rat group shot with everybody. I got mine on. Everybody get your nose on. Everybody get your nose on. Hold on.
I know his passcode now.
1, 2, 3, 4. He's so original. There we go. We're gonna flip it. Hold on. Hold on. Flip. There we go. Get on that side. Get on that side. There we go. Get all my rats in the audience. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Rats! You don't have a rat nose on. You're like right in the front row. You're like right in the front row.
It's like you're photobombing.
You're spiting us in the midst of our fun. Who in the back row has a nose? Thank you.
Here, have a gently used rat.
No, you have to sit back in your seat. You have to put your nose on. What's your name?
What's your name?
Dan. Dan, thanks for coming. Next time, don't give away the giveaway. Thank you very much. All right. Let's hear it for Dan. There we go. Right there for Dan. I see you. Prime time. 1, 2, 3. Rats! It's so good. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Geddes. for the spectacular introduction. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to be here in Midnight Madness, because I've had movies play in a lot of different film festivals. I've had movies play at South by Southwest, at the Paramount, and people are like, oh, that's bullshit. You've never had a movie played for Ryerson at midnight. And I said, really? And they're like, just you wait. So, no pressure. That's all I'm saying. This amazing film, I'll give you just a little bit of the genesis of this awesome movie. Josh Braun, the amazing Josh Braun from Submarine, he, Dan Braun, and the fantastic David Coe and Stanley Buckall optioned a book called Rats by Robert Sullivan. And he came to me and said, what do you think about this book? So now we'll pause there. Now we'll go back to 10-year-old me in West Virginia. Woo! Yeah! Me and you, we got over the wall. So here I am, back in 1980, in West Virginia, and even pre-1980, I had terrible parents. I had amazing parents, but I had terrible parents. Back in the 70s, we used to take kids to like Jaws and The Exorcist, and it was fine, because it was the 70s. People didn't wear helmets, and who fucking cared? And come over Saturday, we're having a key party, and it's gonna be awesome. And so, my parents took me to see a movie in 1980 called Scanners. And it changed my life forever. As I watched Michael Ironside make that guy's head explode, I said, I have to do this for the rest of my life. I have to make movies. And today, as if today couldn't get more special, I got to meet David Cronenberg. And I told him, I said, you have to understand that you changed my life forever because of that movie. And he said, I hope for the better. And I said, yes, it was much better. So now we cut back to today, as Josh Braun is pitching me this book and said, what do you think about making this movie Rats? And I said, well, what if we made a horror documentary? What if we made a movie that was as scary, as creepy, as dark, as weird as a horror film, but it was a straight doc? And he's like, oh my God, let's do that. And that is the awesome movie that Mr. Geddes has allowed us to bring to you today. So thank you guys for being here. This is the epic, incredible, amazing, frightening, freaktastic, rat-tastic world premiere of Rats. Enjoy.
So yeah, as the lights go on, everyone's looking down their feet, right? And when you go out and you walk along the sidewalk, it's all been changed. All been changed. Oh my God, you're never gonna be able to forget that stuff. Put your hands together for the director of one of the settling films this year, Morgan Spurlock.
There's so many awesome people in the audience tonight that I want to bring down to come to the stage. How about all of my amazing producers? How about Josh Braun, Dan Braun? How about Mr. Hoffman, John Hoffman from Discovery? Come on down, their team. My amazing producer partner, Jeremy Chilnick. Our amazing DP, Digital Peppo, where is he? Pierre Capal, the editor and composer of this movie. Kyle Crichton, come down. Chris Spurlock, come on. Everybody come down. All our Rats crew, come up on stage. This is my incredible rat family. I haven't forgotten anybody in the audience, my rat family, did I? But make sure. Let's open up for questions.
Well, you got a friend here? Do you have a special guest?
A special guest, Ed Sheehan! The amazing Ed Sheehan! So this is the first time Ed's seen the film. So what do you think?
I thought it was very informative for me. I realize I'm coming back as a rat, seems fair. And then I guess again as a human. I think one point that was made And I was talking about the poisons, how we're killing them, we're never going to get rid of them. The only way you're really going to get them under control is if you educate the public about how we put out our garbage, how we handle our sewers and stuff like that. And our politicians, I don't know about up here, you had a wonderful mayor that I love dearly, Mr. Ford, who has departed, my kind of guy. Unfortunately, we don't have in New York City, we have Mr. de Blasio. But these politicians, they start these rat campaigns, and they do it for 4 or 5 weeks, and then they get some press in the paper, and that's the end of it. And of course, they get some press in the paper, and that's it. And maybe someone that's councilman, New York City councilman, he now runs, and now he gets to steal more money up in Albany because he allegedly got rid of the rats, which quite frankly is bullshit. What happened? Rats hit. We poison them. It's like a wave hitting the beach. You go to the beach, a wave hits, so we poison, the wave goes out. We don't continue. As you saw what I said there in the film, you got to keep after them every day, day in, day out. That's the only way you're going to keep them under control, and we have to control our garbage.
Reproduction.
As what?
Controlling reproduction of rats. It's like
you know what?
they controlled rabies by basically baiting, or not baiting, but basically putting in also vaccines into bits of meat and stuff like that, and all over the place. So why would they birth control? Sterilization.
Kind of hard to do. They have such a wide variety of food that we can't get to all of their food. You're putting out, someone is putting, I'm not singling you out. Someone in New York City is putting out garbage. They don't have the birth control in that garbage. So what do? We take poison and we put the birth control process in the poison. Do they eat our poison or not? You have to realize rats are very suspicious. When we put something out that's new, they get this one rat, he's weak, his name is Mikey. They tell Mikey, go eat that. If Mikey dies, they're not going to eat it. So our poisons don't affect them for like 3 to 5 days. When you put out garbage, they use the garbage. They've been eating it for years and years, so they're going to eat that right away. They've worked at it in a lab, but a lab is not the streets of New York City or the streets of Toronto or whatever street. So I'd say there's a very low light under that. Right now they're thinking of more humane, more expensive, more money in our pocket, ways to get rid of them. And there's a trap, it's about this big, and they walk up a ladder and there's bait, whatever they like to eat, and they walk across this platform and it collapses. And there's some kind of fluid in there, oil and something else, and it drowns them. And then the number 1 goes up. And then when another one goes up, the number 2 goes up. And they're working on it. You can have it fixed up to your iPhone and register like 63 Word Street, 2 rats, and send somebody over and empty the traps out. There's all different things that are coming up. And the one thing I would take issue with, they have built up a tolerance to some of the poison, but we're constantly getting fed new poison. My favorite now is First Strike. Very effective. So, yes, they're evolving, but we in the pest control industry are also evolving. Yeah. We're trying to stay a step ahead.
20 years ago, about 15 or 20 years ago, I remember being in Central Park, and the rats were running around the park like squirrels during the day.
You want to know why?
Yeah, I really.
Well, we have people that work in office buildings, and they sit on the edge of Central Park on 5th Avenue, very lovely. You have the carriage horses going by, all these Ritz, all nice cars, Mercedes, all these, and you're eating their lunch, and they only finish half of it, and they throw the rest in the park. And if you go on the other side of that wall, you'll see rat burrows. That's because we're feeding them. We're very good to them. That's why you saw them there.
It seemed to only have happened like once. After that, and before I didn't see like they were just running around the ballpark and stuff like that, like a whole mess of squirrels.
Where? What ballpark? Shea Stadium?
No, the softball parks in Central Park.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it's an open field there. People eat there all the time. They think they're big. It's just Maybe the Parks Department doesn't pick up the food properly, you don't take the food out in a timely fashion. They're there. They don't need a lot to eat. They're there. We have to be more conscious of what we do with our waste. Once we do that, they'll start to go down. And as I commented in the film, when I had them in my little experiment, as we took away some food, as we took away some water, they started to cannibalize each other. The stress, homosexuality took place, so they weren't reproducing as well anymore. So we can do a lot without poison, but we have to alter the way we live and dispose of our garbage.
For our cinematographer, the brilliant Luca Del Peppo.
You've got some of those amazing aerial shots, and that's drones? That's some really stellar stuff going on.
That was actually just, we had this 3DR drone, was it? That was a kind of a backpack, so we were able to bring that with us everywhere. That was kind of Morgan's idea in doing it. So we wrecked one of them, we had two of them. We flew one right into a tree and we kind of learned how to pilot it.
There was a very quick learning curve for us. We got two sent to us for free. We're like, that's awesome. And then about like a week and a half into shooting, we're like, fuck, now we only got one. We got to be a little better at this. And
if you see in fact, in Reading, in England, we kind of flew by that tree pretty close.
We were very lucky on that shot. And it was not long after that we flew another one actually into a tree.
Same thing happened in Blair Witch.
Yes. They lost it from that way too. The connections. You never thought that we could connect that. So, okay, so how did you choose what stories and where to go? Because, I mean, I saw this in several kind of versions and things were getting changed and morphed around. Was there something that you wanted to put in or go that you weren't able to, or that you actually did capture? Can you talk about that process?
I think that once we started kind of putting together pieces of the storyline, we saw like an arc that was developing and links in the chain that kind of connected from story to story to story. And what you start to find in the edit is you find the film. The films like this, documentaries are made in the edit room. And as you start putting a movie like this together, where we had, what was the total number of, how many hours of footage, Pierre, what was the total? Lots. 400. So you saw like 90 minutes of 400 hours of footage. And so as you start putting a film like this together, you start going down the maze of what makes sense, and things that you suddenly thought was a great idea, you kind of leave by the wayside. Things that work better, you kind of pull back on. And as we just continued to put this all together, the things we shot in Paris, you see in the beginning of us, you see us in a sewer. We couldn't get into the sewers in New York City. We wanted to shoot in the sewers in New York City so badly. And they wouldn't let us in. The city wouldn't let us in. They're like, you're not going to shoot in the subways, you're not going to shoot in the sewers. So we said, we have to find a country where we can shoot in the sewers and the subways. Paris let us shoot in both. Once we went and shot in Paris, God bless those crazy Parisians. Once we got there and we shot in the sewers and in the subways of Paris, we had this amazing thing that there wasn't actually a great story. It was awesome that we were in the sewers, but there wasn't a good enough story that kind of paid off for us in a way that was more valuable. I mean, it was disgusting and fantastic, and you're in the middle of just like shit getting flushed down out of buildings, and you are literally wandering through like up to your knees in excrement from human beings, and like backpacks and suits, and you're Luke and I in like Tyvek suits in these sewers wandering through, and there are rats all over in the sewer system, and you're in there and you're filming, like, this is amazing. I don't know how this fits into the movie. But you're in there and you're like, this is going to be awesome in the film, and then we start putting it together in the edit room, you're like, this just doesn't make any sense. So there's those little things that you spend, and we spent an entire day wandering through the sewage of Paris, and you're like, why couldn't we figure out a way to put that in the movie? So I felt like it was worth it. But at least we have a great story out of it. Yeah. So there's things like that you shoot and you think will work out but never do.
Can you confirm, is barbecued rat sweeter than chicken?
None of us actually chose to eat the rat.
They look delicious, but unfortunately we shot the New Orleans portion before that, so we know exactly what comes out of rats.
Yeah.
So as good as they look.
And as a hillbilly who grew up eating squirrel in West Virginia, I feel like I've kind of already been there, and I was like, And when you're there shooting on the ground, you're like, we only have like 2 days on the ground. Do we really want to like do something that could potentially ruin half of that time? And like one of us is sick. Yeah, so we chose not to.
Yeah, I just had to run out during the screening and take care of a little emergency, and I ran into one of my friends who does these amazing little pop-up kitchens all over the place. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I was in Rats. I'm learning too much. I can't do, it's great, but as soon as they went into the food stuff, he checked out. So, what else do we have here? Yes, the plaid shirt.
What do they do with the ones that die?
Yeah.
Like the ones that pass on?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't even think we went there. I feel like do they just let them disintegrate? That's it.
They turn them into the state.
The ones that die in the temple?
The temple ones.
Oh, the temple.
No, the ones in the temple.
The ones in the temple are consumed by the other rats.
Yeah, because ultimately rats in a situation will just eat other rats. And so, yeah, there were bodies that were there. You saw dead rats. If you look at that shot, you see plenty of rats that aren't moving, that are dead on the ground, but they never let go in and clean them up, take care of them. Kind of nature does that.
Yes, on the side there.
One of the processes you decide to make in this more style and your inspirations for the sonora kind, and when you prefer to be in the movie, or take a step back and like.
So repeat the question?
No, I was going to say, so the question was, when did we decide to make it kind of like a horror film, which that was very early on. This is the minute Josh Braun, and it was Josh and David and Dan who had optioned the book, and Stanley Buckthall, who said, we've got this book, it's amazing, what do you think? They got Mr. Hoffman from Discovery to like jump on board, and they said, what do you think? And I was like, I'm in, I'm 100% on board, let's make this awesome movie. We wanted to make it a horror film kind of from day one, and make it feel like a horror film, so we shot it like a horror film, so the whole idea from the beginning was to use shadows, make it very dark, get you into rat situations, shoot it from rat POVs as much as possible, put you in places that would make you feel more uncomfortable, and then the score, which let's have a mad round of applause for Shapiro Hall. The brilliant editor and brilliant composer for the film, like Pierre, who is a genius and an incredible human being, will like edit all day and then go home at night and score and edit while he's at home, and then come back and edit more in the morning to the stuff he scored while he was at home. I mean, it's just part of his DNA, and like I love the way he works. It makes me so happy. And Jeremy, my producing partner, and I, we talked about what we wanted the film to be, and I'll let Jeremy talk about the score a little bit. But we wanted it to really live in a place that felt retro, that felt like the horror films that I grew up watching, that felt like the things that we all kind of relate to. And I think that has this real heartbeat of the movies that inspired me to want to make movies. And well, Jeremy touched on that too.
Me and
you got
Pierre
it?
also, who made music. I'll pass it over to Pierre to talk about actually composing it. I mean, for me, I like Cliff Martinez very much, and I think that's really kind of what I drew from when we start. When you're doing an edit, you don't, especially a doc, you don't really have the luxury of having a music editor who's really picking out music for you, so a lot of it is just, the three of us in the room thinking about it. We used some tracks for that to start with, and then that's what our guide is, and then Pierre goes home and just does his magic.
I think it's Pierre-rific. So Pierre, let's have you talk about the music a little bit.
Well, it's really the sum of everything that's always been an inspiration to me since I was 4 years old. And I don't know, my dad had thought I was going to be a concert pianist. Then I just got my first synthesizer and I realized that was never going to happen. And so this was basically that. It was that, and combined with a flood in my apartment, which limited me to a 2-octave keyboard. And so I was forced to, and with knobs. So I was able to do filter sweeps, and just basically use sound as sculpture. And since editing and sculpture goes together, and the photography also inspired me a lot. The photography was dark, music sort of mirrored that. It all came together. We all aligned.
And I'd like to point out, like on the just the subject of when did they decide to kind of do it as a horror vein, is that Josh and Dan, they are the guys responsible for first telling me that All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. They've actually got a good history with Midnight Madness, and also you guys were involved in Lords of Salem as well. So these two guys know a thing or two about horror films. We had a conversation where it's like, there's this film, but the actress in it, you're going to remember her. Her name's Amber Heard. And lo and behold, certainly know her now. All right, we've got to wrap this up because we've got to bring some exterminators in. Put your hands together for Rats!